Welcome to Pregnancy Chat. I'm Monica, and today we are going to be talking about... Before we get started with today's video, I want to invite you to sign up for Pregnancy Chat, where it's our mission to nurture you through your pregnancy and childbirth. Just click the link below to sign up at pregnancychat.com. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to your labor and birth guide. I'm Monica Healy. I'm so happy you've decided to sign up, and I know you're going to love this course. If you have any questions during the program, please post them below or contact support, and we'll do our best to help you. Okay, let's get started. First, I want to give you a little introduction. I believe that labor and childbirth is a totally natural process, one which, with information and a lot of support, can be experienced with confidence and without fear. Mindset is everything. There is no single blueprint for labor or for a perfect birth, but this guide is designed to help you create the labor and birth that is perfect for you. Over the next hour or so, we will touch on topics such as how to create a birth plan, choosing your healthcare provider, stages of labor, how to use a birthing ball, birthing positions, hospital versus home births, postnatal care for mom and baby, and so much more. It has been my privilege to bring 6 beautiful children into the world and whose labors have taught me the value of patience. It is to these wonderful adults that I dedicate this guide. Pregnancy and birth is part of a much bigger journey, that of the all-consuming adventure of parenthood. So why take a virtual birth class? Well, there are so many great reasons to take a virtual birth class, such as this one. You and your partner may have different schedules, making it difficult to attend a class together. You may have small children, and organizing childcare can be a challenge. Maybe you are confined to bed rest and attending classes are safer from home. Some classes can be a great distance and it's just not economical to travel. Whatever your reasons, we're really glad that you're here. The process of birth. Well, although the process of birth is the same, we all arrived here in a slightly different way. You may actively decide to schedule an induction or a cesarean, or you may be planning for a natural birth. There are as many different births as there are mothers, and whatever way you choose to bring your baby into the world is perfect for you, and we are here to guide you. Although it's impossible to predict the type of labor and birth you'll experience, there is plenty you can do to make this experience a positive and joyful one. So, ultimately, it is your body that creates your baby. Your body is quite good at birth and knows what to do. I want to stress that birth is not purely a physical act. It is influenced either positively or negatively by your environment, your support, and your state of mind. Gentle exercise such as prenatal yoga and walking, eating whole foods, taking your folic acid, and avoiding processed foods, all these things help improve your pregnancy. But there is more. Planning and preparation is key. Preparing your mind as well as your body. I cannot express enough that planning and preparation is key. Oh, the excitement of pregnancy. Throughout my career, it has given me great joy to share in the excitement of the pregnancies of the families I see at my ultrasound clinic. Something very magical happens, and although having a baby on the way offers much excitement, it has become obvious that there is also an element of fear at the prospect of labor. I want to give you some information and some practical advice. I'm going to offer you concise information and some very practical advice about labor and birth. Women have been giving birth for millions of years. We know that women have a built-in intuition to give birth to their baby in a safe environment. When you feel safe, your body produces a cocktail of love hormones that can aid in managing pain. Making a birth plan. People spend more time planning their wedding or their holiday than they do preparing for their baby. Making a birth plan is so important. Here are some things to keep in mind. To feel safe, you will need to choose a warm and supportive environment that feels right for you. Not what's right for your friend or your sister nor anyone else. So choosing the method of birth, your birth care provider, and the location of baby's birth will be very important decisions. Don't listen to any horror stories, please. Most babies enter the world in a very gentle and uncomplicated way. We suggest you start your birth plan as early as you can. To bring mom and baby through childbirth safely is what's important. I want you to know that I encourage natural labor and childbirth, but I support all methods of birth and suggest that you be open to the medical system only if you need it. Well prepared, you may have much control on the day, but sometimes there are things that you cannot control. Perception of birth is less about whether or not you've had to have an epidural or a cesarean, and more about how empowered and involved you feel in those decisions. This is an opportunity to find your inner voice, to express those aspirations and goals that will give you the determination of facing the challenge of childbirth in a way that you alone chooses. Begin by making notes about things that are important to you. This gives you plenty of time to do research and make educated decisions. Early planning allows you to begin obtaining supplies you may need ahead of time. You may choose to utilize things such as a birthing ball, birthing tub, or a birthing stool. While some of these things are provided for you in a birthing center or hospital, some are not, but can easily be purchased. Or they are in use by someone else at the very moment you need them. There can be nothing more disappointing than to arrive in labor only to find out that your plans to labor in water isn't possible because another mom is using the pool. Plan ahead for the music that will be played on your iPod. Music can be a very important part of labor, and hearing your favorite tunes can be so helpful to you. Start your list now, and during labor, let the music unwind. Who do you want to be with you when you have your baby? Your support group is also very important. Who do you want in the birthing room with you? Your doctor, midwife, doula, partner, mother, or sister? Hospital policies. Check with the policies of the hospital or birthing center in case there are restrictions to the number of people allowed in the room or items you may want, and adjust your plan accordingly. Explore the possibility of having a home birth. Keeping a journal or a notebook dedicated to your pregnancy helps keep everything organized right down to what you will wear. Keep it easily accessible so that you can finalize your birth plan into a concise version in your third trimester. We've provided a downloadable guide at the end of this video. Next, very important decision is choosing your healthcare provider. Prenatal care is essential, but it can be difficult to find a healthcare provider that you really feel comfortable with. Choosing your healthcare provider is one of the most important decisions you will make for you and your baby. You may want to meet with a few different providers in order to find someone that shares your views on labor and birth. If going to a hospital, what are their guidelines? Guidelines can include how long they will let you labor on your own before intervening, types of fetal monitoring used and how they are used, birthing positions, and aftercare for you and your baby. Other centers are more flexible and will accommodate your needs, comforts, and wishes. Birth is normal and natural and not a medical condition, so when deciding on a healthcare provider, you have the option of choosing either a doctor or a midwife. Each option has its own advantages and disadvantages. So let's talk about the advantages of having a doctor. If you choose to use a doctor as your provider, it allows you easy access to medical technology as well as the peace of mind of knowing that you will have a doctor managing you just in case a medical emergency arises. Doctors also have instant access to medical tests and interventions. Perhaps you already have a good relationship with your family doctor and prefer to have he or she assist in delivering your baby. In this case, your doctor already knows your medical history and can be prepared for any challenges that may arise. She also knows you as a person, not just as another medical client. Choosing a doctor is also the right choice if you prefer to use pain management such as an IV, drugs, or an epidural. Using an OB/GYN is the safest choice if you have any chronic illnesses or serious medical conditions. Conditions such as diabetes, epilepsy, heart disease, or high blood pressure need special care during pregnancy. Your regular doctor may refer you to high-risk specialists if you have or have developed a serious medical condition to ensure the safety of you and your baby. The disadvantages of having a doctor for your care is that doctors are very busy people whose time is spread thin, so you may not receive that personal touch. They may only stop in briefly to speak to you while you're in labor and then turn up only to catch the baby as she is born. It is also common that the doctor who has been caring for you during your pregnancy is not available at all when you deliver. If you live in an area where you must pay out of pocket, doctors are more expensive as well. The advantages of using a midwife. Midwives will give you more personal attention. They will usually stay with you throughout your whole labor and be there to help you deliver your baby. Midwives tend to be very supportive of natural labor and birth. Midwives generally cost less than doctors. Some midwives deliver babies in your home or in private birthing centers. This gives you the opportunity to use birthing tubs, birthing balls, and other supplies without being in a hospital setting. There are other midwives that work alongside the doctors and will deliver in the hospital. The advantages of choosing a midwife is the personal attention that you'll receive. Their number one disadvantage is that a midwife is unable to do what doctors can. As long as you don't need a medical intervention, this is fine. However, if a problem arises and you need pain relief during labor, such as IV drugs, an epidural, or cesarean, you would need to be moved to a doctor's care in a hospital setting. Whether you choose a doctor or a midwife ultimately depends on where you live, your preferences for labor and delivery, your pregnancy risk factors, where you want to give birth, and your health care insurance. Both doctors and midwives offer excellent care, and they often work together to give you a very positive birthing experience. I want to talk a little now about having a doula. They can be a fantastic support. Okay, so once you decide who is delivering your baby, you may consider hiring a doula. A doula is not meant to replace your midwife, but can be a fantastic support to you and your birth partner. She's a person that is professionally trained to assist during birth preparation, labor, delivery, and immediate aftercare. You can choose what and how much input you would like from your doula yourself. A constant reassuring presence. A doula can assist in the planning of your birth, or sometimes a doula is there just as a reassuring presence. You may choose to involve a doula only at the time of labor and birth. She can provide massage, encouragement, guidance, assist in breathing or changing positions. A doula can be a great relief for your birth partner. Massaging or performing the double hip squeeze techniques for pain can be quite tiring during a long labor. We'll go over that a little later in this video. A doula also allows your partner to be as involved as he or she is comfortable with. In a home birth, a doula can bake, fill the birthing pool with warm water, make tea, or perform other minor duties that helps the family during this special time. Mothers who choose to use a doula generally have shorter and less medicated labors, and a doula can provide aftercare for you and your baby. A doula will be there from beginning to end and will help you during the difficult parts of your labor at a time when the techniques you learned during birth preparation you may now not remember. Birth locations, next very important decision. Home birth advantages. Well, having your baby at home can be a quiet and private experience, a family celebration. Without time constraints, you can walk around, eat, and drink as you please. Birth is a natural occurrence, and you don't need a hospital for birth to happen, and giving birth at home offers you familiarity and comfort. You can give birth in your bed, in your living room, in your bathtub, or in the birthing pool. Having your baby at home will allow you to have control over everything that will impact your labor and birth. Home birth disadvantages. Well, the disadvantage is that you will not be able to have drugs for pain relief. If a medical intervention is needed, you will have to be sent to the hospital. Hospital births. Having your baby in a hospital. Well, the advantages. When it comes to hospital births, you may feel safe and secure, and that can be very reassuring. Hospitals have easier access to pain relief should you decide you need it. I'll likely mention many times, moms need to feel safe in their environment. Years ago, when you were admitted to the hospital for labor, whether it was induced or it started on its own, intravenous IV access was obtained and you were placed on fetal monitors. These fetal monitors measure uterine contractions and baby's heartbeat. Some hospitals confine you to a bed, especially if your membranes had ruptured. Your food and fluid intake may have been limited in case you had to have a cesarean section or another emergency that would require anesthesia. But nevertheless, medical technology was readily available. Many hospitals still operate that way. However, some hospitals have relaxed, and unless there is a medical condition, you are not necessarily restricted to a bed. Unless, of course, that's where you want to be. Laboring women can now stand, sit, walk, kneel, lie down, or find any position that suits them. Delivery suites have come a long way since I had my children and are more warm and welcoming. You will need to visit yours to look at their facility and their policies and procedures. The disadvantages. Some of the disadvantages are that hospitals are more controlled and statistically more interventions take place in a hospital, one intervention usually leading to another. Some hospitals are not great supporters of natural childbirth. A birthing center. Having your baby in a birthing center. Birthing centers tend to be tranquil, dimly lit suites that allow you all the comforts you need to birth your baby. Dimly lit, peaceful music and privacy is the ideal environment for you to labor in comfort and safety. Just as dim lighting and peaceful music sets the mood for a romantic dinner, this same environment elevates love hormones, making this same setting ideal for birthing your baby. Having your baby in a birthing center is like having the best of both worlds, the comfort of home, but with access to technology. Choices. Well, unassisted home birth, I want to talk about for a minute. Some women do choose to birth their babies unassisted at home. If this is your first baby, we recommend you have a trained midwife there to support and comfort you. Depending on where you live, there may be regulations that influence your options on birthing methods and locations. Your choice may be heavily affected by the country or area you live in, but rest assured, you will be able to make changes, however small, that will create a happier experience for you. There are no wrong answers. Do your research and choose the option that you are most comfortable with. Water, 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 and more water. I want to take a moment to talk about the benefits of using a birthing pool during labor. It has been shown that with warm water, labor can be shortened. Water can take the edge off pain, and it's a very gentle way for baby to enter the world and a wonderful experience for mom. Sometimes dads even enter the pool. If a natural birth is what you are planning, using water in some form during labor can be considered. Warm showers, a hot water bottle on your back for pain, drinking water, the benefits are endless. When using a birthing pool, well, you don't want to be in the water all day, so save the birthing pool for when you have exhausted all other methods of pain management. Then using water will maximize its benefits. You will know when you're ready for the water when you start thinking about drugs or an epidural to manage the pain. If you are at home, it is important to have warm water on hand to top up the pool and keep it slightly cooler than body temperature for labor, that being about 34 to 37 degrees centigrade or 93 to 98 degrees Fahrenheit, and slightly warmer for birth, about 37 degrees centigrade. Temperature and timing is crucial. Getting in too soon may slow labor down, and water that is too hot may cause your baby to go into distress. Babies are inside the womb and have no way to dispel increased heat. I might add in here that some mothers birth their babies in the water, but sometimes getting out of the water to deliver your baby on land and the placenta is advised. This is something you need to discuss in advance with your midwife. There are no wrong or right answers. It's still okay to have your baby in the water. You can purchase a birthing tub, rent one, or borrow one from your midwife. I also suggest that you fill it and try it out before you ever go into labor, so it's a little more familiar, but don't use hot water. Let's not forget someone very important, your birth partner. What about dad? Before moving on into the stages of labor, I want to spend a moment on who else you want in the room as you experience labor and birth, besides your doctor, midwife, or doula. Let's not forget about dad. Fathers are begging for more information. They not only want to be present for the birth of their children, but they want to assist in the whole process. They will massage you, hug you, listen to you, bring you tea, fill the birthing pool, provide you with hot water bottles or ice chips when your mouth is dry. All that breathing dries out your mouth, believe me. and they even want to cut the cord. They do almost everything but give birth themselves. You wouldn't even consider giving birth without him. How do you feel? I'm speaking directly to mom now. Still, there are some of you that do not feel comfortable with your partner there, feeling that you may say something that will hurt their feelings, or worse, be frightened of having a bowel movement, something that up till now was kept behind closed doors. It is important to remember that your birthplace must be one where you feel safe. You will want to focus on labor and birth without the tension of worrying about dad. So when organizing your birth plan, make serious decisions about who you want in the room. Do you want your partner there? Does he want to be there? No decision is the wrong decision. Same-sex couples and single parents, I want to be sensitive to you and to mention that I am aware that some babies are born of the same-sex couples and single parents. The important thing to remember is that you need support from someone, whether it is your sister, your husband, a doula, or your partner. Your support system during labor is very important, and this person has a significant role to play. Your birth partner's role, protection. Your birth partner, this person will protect your environment from unnecessary people, will ensure your music is playing on your iPod. Do make a long list. There's nothing worse than hearing the same song over and over again during a long labor. Your birthing partner will be your best advocate to carry out your birth wishes, asking questions on your behalf if medical interventions are needed, responding to your need for massage or be your guide, breathing with you through contractions. Birth is hard work and you will need someone to lean on for support. This message is for the birthing partner. Help go over the birth plan and make sure you have the car full of petrol, have the baby seat ready in the car, help prepare the hospital bag ahead of time to make sure nothing is forgotten. You will need your phone and family member contact numbers. I know this sounds elementary, but in the heat of the moment, the simplest things can be forgotten. Be prepared for the unexpected. If this is your first baby, be prepared. Moms may push you away when having a contraction. She may vomit or poop on the table. When you first see your baby, he or she will be covered in vernix, blood, mucus. This may make you squeamish, so be prepared. One more word for the birth partner. Becoming a parent is exciting and emotional. Do take breaks during labor when you need to and keep yourself well fed and hydrated. You need your strength to support mom. Believe me, a good coach during labor is the next best thing to artificial drug relief. What is early or late in labor? This is what I want to talk about next. Getting ready. There has been controversy about when a baby is full term. We know that recent studies, babies that are born within 39 to 40 week time frame do best. 37 weeks is considered early full term, and conversely, 42 weeks is considered post term. Only about 5% of babies arrive on their expected due date. Some babies arrive before the expected due date, and some will arrive well past the due date. Sort of an anticlimax and a strain when you feel your belly is already stretched to the limit. 5 of my babies arrived 2 weeks early, and 1 arrived 2 weeks late. So the waiting can be frustrating and the suspense insurmountable. Alas, a lesson in patience. If you're past your due date, don't be alarmed. Your doctor or midwife will keep an eye on you to make sure baby does not go into distress. Labor may not begin the way you expect it to, and it doesn't always happen like it does in the movies. Most women won't experience their water breaking in a restaurant, panic ensuing, a short trip to the hospital, and end up holding their baby 20 minutes later. The truth is, labor can take a long time, especially if this is your first baby. As a first-time mom, it can be confusing and even a little frightening, but being prepared can be empowering, and we are here to help you get through labor and deliver your baby without fear. You have the strength within you to not just get through this experience, but to own it. Your womb. The womb is a muscular organ, and this strong muscle must contract and work very hard in order to thin and dilate the cervix, as well as aid in pushing baby out. As with any muscle, under exertion, there is always a physical consequence. My brother is a mountain climber. He walks up and down steep stairways with rocks in a pack on his back to practice and build endurance. He just climbed Machu Picchu and wouldn't think of doing such a thing without preparation. This is hard work, and hard work is not pain-free, but it is the pain of exertion, and not of illness. Labor is really hard work. Prepare. And so it is with labor. You need to prepare for it, and it is really hard work. Contractions. Contractions build, then peak, and then go away. You will not have to experience one long day of pain and agony. You will have periods of pain as you breathe through a contraction, and then you will have a few minutes of rest in between where you recover and where your body will provide you with a cocktail of hormones to help you cope. In response to the exertion of labor, your body produces a flood of feel-good endorphins. These endorphins are stronger than morphine. This is why so many people become addicted to exercise. Stages of labor. It is my goal to prepare you for labor and delivery. It is the fear of the unknown that can sometimes be a problem. This fear leads to stress, and stress leads to increased pain. Learning about labor and delivery by understanding what is happening to your body and why can help reduce the fear and therefore reduce the pain. Your body is perfectly designed to birth babies. Women have learned various ways to cope with contractions, making a natural birth more comfortable and medical intervention less likely. Childbirth is divided into 3 stages. The first stage of labor is when your contractions work to dilate your cervix. The second stage is when baby passes through the vagina into the world. The third stage is the delivery of the placenta. Every woman experiences childbirth differently, and every baby's delivery will be unique. But every woman giving birth will go through these 3 stages. When does labor start? Well, no one really knows exactly what initiates labor, but it is the placenta that determines the timing. It produced the hormone HCG that started pregnancy and now produces a different one, corticotropin, CRH, releasing hormone that ends it. This sets in motion a series of other hormones that leads to birth. Labor is a sequence, sometimes with no distinct beginning and a very blurry ending. Sometimes a stage happens so quickly you may think you've missed it, and at other stages there are pauses, so be prepared for the unexpected. Early labor. When your body is nearing labor or in early labor, you will experience some physical and emotional changes. You may experience all or none of these symptoms. Engagement. As the lower part of your uterus softens and expands, your baby's head descends lower into your pelvis. This is known as engagement or lightening, and you will know when this happens as you will find it easier to breathe and your heartburn may settle down. This lightening usually occurs between 2 to 4 weeks before labor starts if it's your first baby, or just as labor begins in subsequent pregnancies. Your baby's head will mold and your pelvic structures will stretch as she moves through the birth canal. This molding and stretching takes time. When your baby's head has settled into your pelvis, you may experience other minor discomforts such as urinating or having bowel movements more frequently. Your joints and ligaments relax in preparation for birth, and you may experience back pain. Pressure in your pelvis may cause your legs and feet to swell. Lying on your left side can help relieve some of this pelvic pressure. Vaginal discharge. You may experience an increase in vaginal discharge as the cervix softens. This discharge can be the consistency of egg whites and is often tinged with blood. If your discharge contains lots of bright red blood clots or is yellow and has a bad odor, you should report this to your healthcare provider immediately. The nesting syndrome. If in the last few weeks before baby arrives, you feel the need to clean drawers, scrub your house from top to bottom, and clean out your closets, this is what's known as the nesting syndrome or the nesting instinct, a maternal urge to prepare the home for the arrival of the baby. Although this happens all through pregnancy, it seems more pronounced just before labor begins. I actually don't think I've had a clean house since before my last baby was born. Just don't overdo it. You'll need all your strength for labor and for the first few weeks with your baby. Braxton Hicks contractions. You have likely been experiencing Braxton Hicks contractions. You will recognize these contractions as a tightening of your tummy as you near true labor. These contractions can be quite intense. In early labor, contractions will be mild to moderate, lasting 30 to 45 seconds and spaced anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes apart. You may not even notice them until the final 2 to 6 hours. If you've been dilating gradually over a period of days or weeks, you probably won't feel them at all until true labor starts. These contractions may not come in perfectly spaced intervals. It is possible that your amniotic membranes will rupture, but it's more likely to happen a little bit later in labor. Shivering or trembling. You may find yourself involuntarily shivering or trembling for no apparent reason. The raging hormones that bring you through labor and delivery, added with other body chemicals, can cause a physical reaction similar to shock. This same thing can happen during and after labor. I didn't experience this until after I had already given birth. Shivering and trembling are a part of labor and delivery. Diarrhea. Prostaglandins, which are the body's little messengers, act in early labor to trigger episodes of loose bowel movements. This may be also nature's way of clearing the bowel out, preparing your body for labor and delivery. Length of labor. The whole process of labor can take up to 18 hours for a first baby and up to 12 hours for subsequent labor and delivery. Please note, these are average guidelines. Your labor and delivery may take longer or maybe shorter. In fact, it isn't unusual for some women to stay in the early stage of labor for more than a day and others for only a few hours. There are as many different births as there are babies. As long as your membranes haven't ruptured, there's no need to rush things. Your body knows what to do. Some labors progress very quickly and others very slowly. Your baby's position. If your baby is in the wrong position, labor can slow down. Most babies tolerate delivery and pass down the birth canal with their heads tucked down and facing their mother's side when passing through the pelvis, and then turning to face mother's spine when being born. If your baby is not in that position, it may take a while for her to get into that position. Staying upright and active yourself will help your baby get into the best position for birth. Baby coming too fast. Well, conversely, you may need to slow down a baby that is coming too fast. Going into a knee-chest position may slow things down. Knee-chest position means you go on your hands and knees, then lower your head and chest to the floor and stick your bum up into the air. You can practice this position during the last weeks of pregnancy to help baby along. Contractions can be mild in the beginning. The discomfort during the first stage of labor can be mild in the beginning, becoming more intense as labor is established. You may be able to distinguish the difference between the phases of labor, or you may not notice the changes at all. The first stage of labor is usually the longest and generally the easiest. During this stage, the cervix continues to thin and dilate to about 3 to 4 centimeters. At this stage, the contractions are painful but manageable. Contractions are usually short, lasting from 20 to 60 seconds. They may be as far as 20 minutes apart, increasingly becoming stronger and closer together over a 6 to 8 hour time frame. It is usually during this time that the mucus plug is dislodged or the membranes rupture. Once the membranes rupture, you must contact your birthing team. Don't forget to eat frequent and light snacks. Labor is hard work and your body needs energy. If you can't rest during this time, engage in mild activity only. When my daughter was born, I spent all day sewing a robe for the hospital. Alas, I went to the hospital at 7 p.m. and she was born 20 minutes later. Most of the hard work done sitting upright at my sewing machine. This early mild labor feels like back pain, menstrual cramps, or pelvic pressure. You may experience hip and leg cramps. You may experience a burst of energy, but please conserve your energy for labor and delivery. Timing your contractions. Timing can be done with a pad of paper and a pen, or you can download an app to your computer, tablet, or smartphone. These apps are user-friendly and pretty accurate. I want to move on now into the signs and symptoms of active labor. Bloody show. As the cervix softens and shortens and begins to dilate, you will lose the mucus plug that has sealed the cervix for most of your pregnancy. This dislodgement of this mucus jelly-like plug is called a blood-stained show, or sometimes just show. I must mention that although this show indicates that labor is imminent, it can also occur as much as 6 weeks before the baby's birth. If you think that you have experienced a bloody show, or if you think that your amniotic sac has a leak, contact your health provider. Amniotic fluid that is discolored may signify a fetus in distress, so it's important to call in an alert if you notice this. Contractions. In the early active labor, your contractions will typically last 40 to 60 seconds and may not follow a regular pattern. When to go to the hospital or call the midwife. When your contractions are so painful that you have a hard time talking through one, they are arriving 5 minutes apart and are lasting from 40 to 60 seconds, and you have had them regularly for about an hour, then it's time to call your midwife or go to the hospital. Intense contractions. These pains are more intense because these contractions occur within the upper uterus. These powerful upper uterine muscles will help dilate the cervix to approximately 7 to 8 centimeters during this phase. If this is not your first baby, remember that second babies arrive in half the time, but it isn't always so. My 5th baby took 24 hours to arrive after my water broke. If you aren't sure, call the hospital and talk to them. Or if you are having a home birth, call your midwife. You can't know what having a baby is like until you've actually had yours. Now I want to talk about the positions for labor. During labor, try out different positions to see which one is the most comfortable for you. There are many and countless variations. The idea is for you to follow your instincts. Find a position that suits you. Don't feel compelled to stay in that position, nor feel you have to move all the time. You may prefer to move back and forth in a relatively small space, or you may feel compelled to walk the hallways of the hospital. Do what feels right for you. Walking and or standing. Staying upright uses gravity and assists the descent of your baby. Squatting encourages your baby to descend quickly and may widen your pelvis, but it can be a tiring position to stay in. Have your birthing partner support you from behind. With your arms draped over your partner's legs, you can relax as much as possible, and your birth partner can massage your shoulders and your arms. Lying on your back is the position preferred by obstetricians because it makes any intervention simpler. This is also a safe position if you've taken medication or been anesthetized. Lying on your side is a good position if you've received an epidural or if you are tiring. Sitting is a good position with your back supported against a pile of pillows. This position is often used with birthing beds. It is also a good position for delivery. Leaning forward on your knees is a good position and takes the pressure off the perineum. Kneeling will allow increased blood and oxygen supply to the baby and widen the pelvic outlet. Any decision that uses gravity will help baby descend. I want to talk about breathing. Breathing is an essential in childbirth. I cannot emphasize this enough. You need a good supply of oxygen. Muscles deprived of oxygen produce lactic acid, and an accumulation of this acid causes pain. Not enough oxygen going to your uterus and placenta can lead to distress for your baby. Breathing correctly not only helps with the pain of contractions, but is an essential part of successful labor. Slow breathing can help you relax during labor, but avoid hyperventilating. In late labor, short little breaths can distract you from pushing before you are fully dilated. Here's mom using short little breaths. And here's some breaths you can use all during labor. Breathe in. And out. Massaging. We're going to talk about massaging. Massaging muscles can help release muscle tension and promote relaxation. Relaxation, in turn, increases blood circulation to muscles, helping to ensure they receive enough oxygen. If you are suffering from backache, have your birthing partner massage you, especially on your lower spine. Your partner can also add pressure with the use of a tennis ball or a rolling pin. Here you can see Dad using his thumbs as pressure, working his way up Mom's back. This is great, and using the rolling pin focused on the lower spine. So you can alternate between using pressure with the rolling pin or a tennis ball if you have one, or Dad using his thumbs, working his way up and down Mom's spine. See the pressure? Excellent. It's great for back pain. Now you're fully dilated. Once you have completely dilated, and, well, you may experience a period of no contractions as well, but at this stage, even when fully dilated, a mom may not have the urge to push. This is called the rest and be thankful stage. Not all women experience this, and some women find renewed energy at this point, knowing that birth is imminent. Birthing ball. Having a birthing ball on hand during your labor and your birth can be a huge help. We call it a birthing ball because we use it for birth, but it's really just an exercise ball and can be used for good posture before and after pregnancy. The right size for your height. I can't express enough to please purchase or borrow one that is the right size for your height. The height of the ball does matter. For many moms I talk to, they wouldn't dream of giving birth without one, and I would have to agree. It's good when you can sit on your birthing ball with your legs straight out so that your thighs aren't tipping down or tipping up. That's why height is important. There are just so many beneficial ways to use a birthing ball. Utilizing a birthing ball can help relieve pain and backache and help baby get into the correct position. Using a birthing ball. There are many variations, but here are a few that you can use. Pelvic tilt while sitting. Performing pelvic tilts on a birthing ball is a great way to relieve tension in the lower back and may also help baby make her way down to the cervix. Here you see Mom performing pelvic tilt while sitting on a birthing ball. Now she's on her knees, lifting her back up and then dropping baby closer to the floor, and then up to lower her spine. This is great for back pain. There she goes again, curling her back up, dropping her tummy down, dropping baby down, curling up as the spine is lower to the floor. So back curled. Circular motion while sitting. Sitting on the birthing ball with your legs positioned wide, you can sway your way through the first part of labor, helping baby descend into position. Circle one direction and then change to go in the other direction. Sitting wide helps the pelvic outlet stay wide. Here's Mom sitting on her birthing ball with Dad helping her so that she doesn't fall off the ball. It's a great balance to have, and very important to have your partner there. She's swinging round, circling round and round with her hips. There's Dad sitting behind her now. And then Mom will turn and go the opposite way. And this is a great way to bring baby further down into the birth canal and helps baby get into position. Circling round and round. And don't forget to do your deep breathing. You can see Mom here taking deep breaths in through her nose. Double hip squeeze, leaning on the birthing ball. Leaning over the birthing ball allows your partner to perform the double hip squeeze. This maneuver offers tremendous relief for back pain. When you are in labor, your pelvis stretches due to the pressure of the baby's head. By squeezing and pushing the pelvis back into a more relaxed position, relieves this pain. As you can see in this video, the birth partner's hands are placed on mom's hips with the thumbs pointing towards the spine. Squeeze the hip bones together and at the same time push them upwards, as if you were sliding them up her back. This maneuver can be very tiring for your birth partner though, and you may need your midwife or doula to offer a turn. Pressure in and up. Swaying back and forth while leaning over the ball. Well, swaying back and forth can help baby wiggle down and can also relieve the pressure on the bones you sit on. Vocalizing by moaning or using a mantra has been known to offer added relief. Mom's taking some nice deep breaths.
Slowly.
Here she's changing into a little bit different position that's more comfortable for her. Swaying back and forth. Her birth partner always there supporting her.
That's good.
Back and forth. Squatting, hugging the ball can relieve tension in your shoulders, neck, back, and chest. I want to now talk about transition or advanced labor. Transition is unpredictable. It can pass as quickly as 15 to 20 minutes or last much longer. This stage of labor is more established, and this stage is reached when the cervix begins to dilate quickly. Contractions become closer together and more intense. Once your contractions are 3 minutes apart, lasting 60 to 90 seconds, or you feel that they are happening one on top of the other, this signals that birth is very near. As contractions become longer and harder, you will need to work harder at relaxing through them. Try moving around and changing positions to relieve the tension. And I can't emphasize enough about utilizing your birthing ball. In transition labor, well, this transition can cause your breathing and heart rate to increase. As the contractions increase, you will feel greater pain and fatigue, and your water may break if it hasn't already done so. It's at this stage that you can become irritable and feel as though this will never end, or want to change your mind about having a baby at all. Try to remember that this stage is rapid and the cervix will be dilated soon, and that every contraction is one step closer to mating your baby. This is a good time to step into the birthing pool. If you have chosen a birthing pool, this is a good time to step in. The cervix will dilate from approximately 8 to 10 centimeters. Contractions are intense, and as your baby is pushed into your pelvis, you will likely experience strong pressure in your back and perineum. You may have an urge to push or have a bowel movement. You will definitely need the support of your partner at this stage. The kind of support that you receive from your partner will directly affect how much pain you feel. A good birthing partner is as good as any drug. Some stress reactions. Stress reactions may be some or all of the following: perspiration, shivering, shaking, nausea, vomiting, and sheer exhaustion. Without meaning it, it is not uncommon for women to reject the help of their birthing partners and reject their touch. It is also not uncommon for women to start shouting and using profanity. All of these things can be experienced. Please don't worry. Keep in mind the goal is meeting your beautiful baby. The word labor is just that, a lot of hard work. Don't be afraid to express what helps and what doesn't. Now I want to talk again about the birthing pool, the benefits of using a birthing pool. I want to mention again the benefits of using a birthing pool during labor are tremendous. Warm water can take the edge off pain. Sometimes dads even enter the pool. If a natural birth is what you're planning, using water can be very beneficial. Save the birthing pool for when you have exhausted all other methods of pain management. Then using water will maximize its benefits. We suggest at the beginning of transition. You will know when you are ready for the water when you start thinking about drugs or an epidural to manage the pain, and this usually happens in the transitional or late stage of labor. Top up the pool and keep it slightly cooler than body temperature for labor, that being about 34 to 37 degrees centigrade or 93 to 98 degrees Fahrenheit, and slightly warmer for birth. Temperature and timing is crucial. Getting in too soon may slow labor down, and water that is too hot may cause baby to go into distress. Babies are inside the womb and have no way to dispel the increased heat. Some mothers birth their babies in the water, but sometimes getting out of the water to dry land to deliver your baby and placenta can be advised. This is something you need to discuss with your midwife in advance, but there's no harm in having your baby in the water. Second stage of labor, birthing your baby at last. The second stage of labor is when you actually birth your baby. Your cervix is dilated to approximately 10 centimeters and completely effaced. It is time to push your baby out. Pushing your baby out. Some care providers advise you to push when you feel your contractions starting, while others tell you to relax and let your body do the work. Although you may feel the urge to push as hard as you can, it is easiest on your body to birth your baby slowly. Controlled pushing, breathing, and birthing your baby slowly will help prevent tearing to your perineum and vaginal tissue because it gives your body time to stretch. This makes for easier recovery time and less need for an episiotomy. When it comes to giving birth, an upright or semi-recumbent position is best because of the use of gravity. Choose the one that is most comfortable for you. There are several different pushing and birthing positions you can use to bring your baby into the world. If you are uncomfortable in one position, or if your baby doesn't seem to be descending, try another position. Using your birthing ball. If you are using your birthing ball, your spouse or birthing coach can sit on the birthing ball behind you while you squat in front of it, leaning your back against it. You can hold your arms over your spouse's knees for added support. This position gives your baby lots of room to descend. It also gives your healthcare provider easy access to see what's happening down there, as well as to catch baby. From this position, you can also reach your hands down and catch your baby yourself. Now I want to talk about positions for labor and birth. The sitting position. Some women are more comfortable in a sitting position. To sit up comfortably, try propping yourself up against a stack of pillows. Pull your knees up towards your chest. You can also place your hands hooked behind your knees to keep your legs in the correct position. Putting your hands behind your knees also gives you leverage when you're pushing. Lying on your back. You may feel more comfortable lying on your back with your knees bent. This is a commonly used position in many hospitals because it gives doctors easy access to your baby as she's being born. You can prop your upper body up a bit by using 2 or 3 pillows. This position isn't for everyone as it can compress the pelvis and make it difficult for the baby to come down. If you find that you are working too hard with little progress pushing your baby out, try moving into a different position. Lying on your side. A great position is to lie on your side. Prop yourself up with a couple of pillows and bend your bottom leg for support. Have your spouse or coach help lift your top leg for you to make room for the baby. This is a good position to try if your legs get tired from squatting, although it may be tough for you to keep your leg elevated through the rest of your birth. Delivering your baby. Delivering your baby usually takes about an hour, but can take as little as a few minutes or as long as 3 hours. Bearing down. Bearing down with contractions may be a time of pressure, more so than pain. You'll feel a huge pressure as your baby's head appears at the entrance of your vagina. Your emotions may veer from feeling exhausted to tearful and then joy at the excitement of meeting your baby at last. Pushing. Okay. So you are given the go-ahead to push. Bearing down when the urge occurs will be very satisfying. Contractions in the second stage of labor will last 60 to 90 seconds and may come every 2 to 4 minutes. Your position can influence these contractions. Staying upright can intensify contractions and reclining and knee-chest positions can slow them down. Many mothers will sit at a 30 to 40 degree angle in bed while delivering, but squatting encourages rapid descent, requires less effort, and increases the diameter of the pelvis, sometimes by 1 to 2 centimeters. Breathing. Continuous breath holding and forced bearing down can increase mom's heart rate and blood pressure and disrupt the blood flow to the uterus and ultimately to your baby. This will show up on the fetal monitor as fetal distress. It has been suggested that continuous prolonged breath holding alters the effectiveness of contractions, leading to ineffective contractions and failure to progress. Breathing is so important. Bearing down. Spontaneous bearing down allows your body to tell you when to push. When you use this reflex, you rarely hold your breath for more than about 6 seconds, allowing more oxygen for the baby. Slow exhalation, pushing works with the urge to push, producing a push that is slow and easy. Think of the effort it takes to blow up a balloon. So, when the urge to push arrives during a contraction, take a deep breath and exhale slowly through pursed lips. Pursed lips are lips that are pressed tightly together. This type of pushing is gentler. Now, the urge to push and bear down. The urge to push and bear down is caused by the baby pressing on the Ferguson plexus of nerves, creating the Ferguson's reflex, which is the urge to push. The same urge you feel when you're experiencing bowel movement, only much more intense. Basically, what happens is that baby makes a turn around your tailbone and under the pubic bone, causing extra pressure on the lower colon and surrounding network of nerves, and the urge to push occurs. Your midwife or healthcare provider will guide you now and tell you when to stop or slow your pushing, breathing out in puffs to avoid the urge to push, or using a slow exhale when you get the go-ahead, and sometimes changing your position if needed. Crowning. The birth of your baby's head through your perineum is known as crowning, and when this happens, you will have a burning or a stinging sensation. You will likely have had a few vaginal examinations to check how the cervix is dilating. Listen to your midwife, and she will let you know whether to pant or to push. Guiding baby out slowly will minimize the risk of your perineum tearing. Once your baby's head is out, the hard work is done. You should only need another push for baby's body to emerge. Some babies will pop out relatively easy, and others, it's a tiring process that takes time. The second stage of labor ends when your baby is born. Yes, the second stage of labor ends when baby is born. There's no feeling in the world like that first moment when you get to hold your baby. This is a successful, natural birth in a hospital setting. The midwife is checking mom's cervix to see if that she's fully dilated. Mom's resting on the bed. They have the fetal monitor on mommy's tummy, and they're just seeing that baby's not in distress and is doing well. Okay, they decided it's time for baby to come. Baby's head is popped out now and there. The body comes out just so quickly, and they place baby straight up on mommy's tummy, skin to skin. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Very uncomplicated, natural hospital birth. Okay, this is mom giving birth at home in a birthing pool. Her partner's at her head there, massaging her shoulders, offering great support. The midwife is checking the cervix. Mom is very close to giving birth now. She's having a big contraction. She's giving a push. She's having a bit of a break. She's using her breathing. The midwife is there supporting her. They sometimes use a flashlight in the water to see if the baby's head is visible. Mom's having a bit of a break. She's taking her breaths in and out, in and out. Dad's there at Mom's head, giving her great support. Okay, baby's head is coming. Mom's having another contraction. She's going to give a good push. Good push. There, baby's head is visible. Okay, very painful now. Mom's vocalizing her discomfort. And there she is. There's the baby, popped right out, head, then body, and right up, right in the water, and then baby's put to Mom's chest. She did a great job. No matter what happened during your labor, whether you birthed your baby naturally, opted for pain management medication, labor augmentations, or had to have a cesarean section, that first look at your sweet little baby's face is all that matters. Know that whatever happened, you rocked your birth and brought this beautiful, amazing little person into the world. The third stage of labor, yes, that's right, you're not finished yet, birthing your placenta. The placenta will detach from the wall in the third and final stage of labor, and this is when your placenta is delivered. After you have birthed your baby, you may experience a pause that can last as long as 30 minutes. During this time, the placenta will detach from the wall, and you may feel cramping and a few contractions, but they are not nearly as strong as the contractions you experienced having your baby. The placenta is soft and slippery, so it'll be birthed with little effort on your part. The birthing process is not over until you've delivered your placenta. You may decide to deliver your placenta naturally, waiting for the pulsations to stop before cutting the cord. Often little thought is given to this stage of labor, but there are things that you must think about. Suckling of your baby on your breast, waiting for the cord to stop pulsating before cutting it, and waiting an acceptable length of time can be the best conclusion to an uncomplicated birth. A managed third stage of labor. Conversely, you may decide to have this stage managed by having a drug injected that encourages very strong uterine contraction, helping to close down the placental site, detaching the placenta, and having this all happen relatively quickly. A managed third stage delivery will usually include cutting the cord immediately. The choice is yours, so think about this in advance. It's all about the placenta. Many people can get squeamish about the placenta, but if you have the chance, take a look at it. This miraculous organ nourished your baby for 9 long months. If you look at the intricacy of the blood vessels and the cord, it looks like the tree of life. Although it sounds rather outlandish in our modern society, some women choose to encapsulate their placenta after giving birth. This is done by steaming, drying, and pulverizing the placenta into a powder. It is then placed into gelatin capsules. You take the capsules as you would any daily vitamin supplement. The health benefits of encapsulated placenta. Well, there are numerous health benefits to taking encapsulated placenta, including increased milk supply, more energy, and less postpartum depression. You can choose to go through the process yourself or find a local service that will encapsulate your placenta for you. If you have your baby in a hospital, you will have to find out their policy about taking your placenta with you. Having your baby at a birthing center or at a home will pose no problem in retaining your placenta. Other options for your placenta. In addition to encapsulating the placenta, moms have told me that they have taken their placenta home and buried it as a way to give back to Mother Nature. If you have no attachment to your placenta, it can be sent out with the hospital's clinical waste. Again, whatever you choose is right for you. Baby is here. Baby is born. Caring for your baby in the delivery room. The birth of your baby will be one of life's memorable moments. Babies are completely dependent on you for food, warmth, and comfort. Amazing things happen at the moment of birth. When the umbilical cord is cut and clamped near your baby's navel, this ends baby's dependence on the placenta. She must keep herself alive. When baby takes her first breath, the change in pressure within the lungs closes the pathways that were used for oxygen while in the womb. The blood is redirected to the lungs, where the exchange, once occurring in the placenta, will now take place within baby's lungs. Your baby will cry to bring forth any fluid that still may remain within the lungs. The appearance of baby. When baby is born, she is covered in blood, mucus, and vernix. And because baby will be wet, she can easily become cold. We're going to talk a little bit about baby's needs. Placing baby skin to skin on your chest will help keep baby warm. Sometimes a little hat will be placed on baby's head to keep her from losing heat. Baby needs food, warmth, and you. Now I want to talk a little bit about tests. Within minutes of baby's birth, a test is performed to evaluate his or her condition. This test is called the Apgar test. You likely will have heard of it. The following will be tested, and your newborn will be given a score. Baby's muscle tone, pulse, reflex, skin color, and respiration will be tested. A score of 7 out of 10 falls within normal limits. Your baby will be given a physical examination to make sure she appears healthy. Her weight and length will be recorded, as well as the circumference of her head. Footprints are often recorded in her medical records. Before your baby leaves your side, your baby will be given a bracelet that identifies your baby as yours. Spending time with your newborn, a very special time. Whatever way you decide to manage the third stage of labor, spending time with your newborn is a very special time. Try to keep excited family members out of the room. The same dimly lit, gentle environment that was used for birth is also a great environment while you and your partner get to know your little one. Depending on the policies of the hospital, try to prolong this stage and treasure the time. You are filled with love hormones that help you forget the pain of childbirth and bond with your baby. For some moms, it is love at first sight. For others of you, it may take a little time. If you are waiting for the birth of your placenta, bringing your baby to your breast will help it along, as suckling will encourage the uterus to contract. Caring for your newborn is very simple. They need food, warmth, and you. Skin-to-skin contact, as I mentioned, is very important in newborn care. Studies show that babies that are allowed to have their skin regularly touched with their mother's or father's skin, with no blankets or clothing in between, are happier and healthier. These babies are more content, cry less, and nursing mothers have a stronger supply of breast milk. Now, what about mom? Postpartum care for mom. Physical changes. Well, physically, your body is going through a major transformation. You've just gone from being pregnant to not being pregnant in one short swoop. It takes time for your body to go back to its normal state. The uterus has to contract from the size of pregnancy back down to the size of a small fruit. These contractions are helped along by breastfeeding, and sometimes you will feel pain when this is happening, and these contractions are called after pains. Your tummy will still look pregnant, and it may take a number of weeks before it returns to a version of normal. What happens to you after birth? You have likely in the last months been focusing totally on giving birth, but there is all this stuff that happens after birth that sometimes new moms are not prepared for. I want to list some things that you will experience over the few weeks after giving birth. You may feel as if you are peeing almost constantly as your body rids itself of unneeded fluids that accumulated during pregnancy. You will have the after pains I mentioned as your uterus contracts. Bleeding from your womb is normal after birth, and this bleeding is called lochia. Bleeding will be heavy in the beginning and then eventually tapers off over a few weeks. If you are experiencing very heavy bleeding and clots, it is best to mention this to your doctor. Temporary incontinence. You may be incontinent temporarily after birth due to injury during delivery. You may be constipated, which is the result of many hormonal changes. You may notice that you have hemorrhoids. These are basically varicose veins that lie just inside the anus. Swelling is very common for many women post-delivery. Witch hazel can alleviate the discomfort, and if you have an episiotomy, the witch hazel will help that too. Now, emotional changes. In addition to all these physical changes, you will have the emotional ones. You have just become a new mother and your hormones are all over the place. One day you're happy and the next day you're crying. This emotional roller coaster is normal and natural, and all mothers go through a form of emotional upheaval. It might not matter to you now, but when you're going through it later, it helps to know that you are not the only one. Baby blues. About 3 or 4 days after giving birth, the hormone progesterone decreases in order to make way for milk-producing hormones. Your breasts will become engorged and uncomfortable and may make the next few days for breastfeeding uncomfortable. But hang in there. It can take a few weeks to become established, and I can tell you it is well worth the effort. Baby blues, again, the decrease in progesterone also causes you to feel sad and weepy, and where the term baby blues comes from. Do discuss this ahead of time with your partner. You will need the support of your partner when this happens. This way, it's expected. An understanding partner can go a long way in making things better. Don't be too concerned. This too shall pass. First few days with baby. Schedule. It takes baby time to find a schedule. Try not to rush things. Again, the value of patience. Sleep when your baby sleeps. This may seem like an indulgence, but it isn't. You need your rest. You will eventually get your full night's sleep and have your evenings back. Breastfeeding, at least for the first few weeks of baby's life, is very beneficial for both you and baby. Preparing your breast beforehand by rubbing your nipples with a coarse face cloth or gently with a loofah will help toughen them up. This may help to avoid cracked or sore nipples. Keep lanolin on hand. Last but not least, you are not supermom. Allow yourself time with your baby and be gentle with yourself. My mother gave birth to 12 children and always said, 1 week in bed and 1 week on the couch. Well, I don't know if she really did that, but I certainly believe there is value in her advice. Final thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Labor and childbirth is a totally natural process, one which, with the information we provided, can be approached with confidence and without fear. There is no single blueprint for labor or for a perfect birth, but this guide is designed to help you create the labor and birth that is perfect for you. You may go into labor wanting a natural birth with no intervention. Something unexpected may take place, and you may have had to have an intervention such as a cesarean. And if so, see it as positive. No guilt feelings are allowed. A cesarean is a safety net. God bless modern technology. Having a cesarean can be every bit as amazing as the natural version, but dealing with medical interventions is beyond the intended scope of this video, as is artificial pain relief. We have touched on topics such as how to create a birth plan, choosing your healthcare provider, stages of labor, how to use a birthing ball, birthing positions, hospital versus home births, and postnatal care for mom and baby. I hope that I've given you lots of things to consider and think about. Own your experience, natural or otherwise. Mindset is everything. These are the precious moments our lives are made of. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below, and don't hesitate to send them to support@Pregnancy Chat. I'm Monica Healy. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click the link below to sign up for Pregnancy Chat, where it's our mission to nurture you through your pregnancy and childbirth. If you know someone who might benefit from this video, please share it. And if you have any comments or questions, please post them below or post them at pregnancychat.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Monica, and we'll see you next time at Pregnancy Chat.